Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama जय नाम संकीर्तन की
जय।
समवेत भक्त वृंद की
जय।
हरे
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
Hope everyone is doing good.
Yes.
Keeping well.
Yes.
That's great. Okay.
Oh,
Mm.
was in a lot. Alles klar.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रहे ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome you all back again. And today we'll continue our discussion on Canto 10. We'll continue with chapter 28, sorry. And then we'll see from there. So we have been discussing the pastimes of Lord, how he was doing in all the Vrindavan. And then we, last Friday, we exclusively discussed about this Govardhan Leela, right? How Lord Krishna did lifted Govardhan Hill, how he crushed the pride of Lord Indra, and then how at the end he was being bathed by Mother cow Survi, and how Krishna for the 7 days and 7 nights gave pleasure to everyone in the Braja, like from the cowherd men, from the Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, to the gopis, even to the cows, even to the cowherd boys, and everyone's. So everyone being overwhelmed by the ecstasy love of Lord Krishna for 7 days and 7 nights, completely over there, right? And then we'll continue from there. That's chapter 28, where Krishna rescues Nanda Maharaj from the abode of Varuna. So what happens? It's again importance of Dwadashi Palna time. Again, so once what happened, Nanda Maharaj, he entered Yamuna to take his bath on Dwadashi day after fasting on Ekadashi. So he went to the Dwadashi, and after that, after taking bath, he want to break his fast in that. However, it was very early morning. It was quite dark, and the servant of Varuna is the master of this ocean. So Varuna, the servant of Varuna, they seized Nanda Maharaj and took him inside the ocean, and thinking that this is a very inauspicious time for wedding, and Nanda Maharaj is wedding in Yamuna. So on that context, they took Nanda Maharaj in the ocean, And however, when the coward men, they could not see Nanda Maharaj, they loudly started crying for Nanda Maharaj. And then he says they called out Krishna and Balrama. And then Krishna understood very well what the situation is. And then he went to meet Varun Dev, actually, under Yamuna. And devotee explained that Varun Dev, when he saw that his servant has actually kind of kidnapped Nanda Maharaj, and they brought into a abode of there. And then this Varun Dev was actually he was waiting for Krishna to come, and he was kind of more. He was just going here and there and that waiting when Krishna will come and he's going to chastise me. And then as Varun Dev was waiting and Krishna came there, Krishna arrived there, and he said, Varun Dev glorified that now my life is being successful, or the goal of my life is being achieved now because I have seen you. And please accept my obeisances. And he said, your father is quite well sitting there. He just make things very clear before Krishna starts saying anything. And he says, your father is sitting safe there, and who was being brought to me by my foolish servant, and he was very ignorant. So please forgive every one of us, and please give us your mercy, even to all of us, and even to me as well. And then you're most affectionate, and you are most affectionate to your father, and you can take him home back. And then Lord Krishna, by showering his mercy and blessings, he took Nanda Maharaj and back to home. And when the relatives and all the coward minds, they came to know about these pastimes, they were overjoyed, and they even Nanda Maharaj was astonished by seeing the great opulences of Varuna, and who was actually ruler of ocean planet, and after that he is being so opulent, but this Varuna was actually being offering obeisances very humbly to Lord Krishna. That astonished more to Nanda Maharaj. And when Nanda Maharaj described these pastimes to all these coward men, and hearing about these pastimes of Krishna's Varuna, these coward men, they had a desire that will this Krishna, he will be able to show us his supreme abode. And their mind will, filled with some eagerness, like they wanted to see the Krishna's abode. And they thought, will Supreme Lord Krishna, and could he bestow upon us his transcendental abode? Basically, they wanted to see Lord Krishna's abode, and Krishna understood very well their thoughts. And then Krishna, he thought that certainly people in this world are wandering among the higher and lower destinations, or higher planets and lower planets, and they wander from here and there, and which they could achieve through performing activities according to their desires. If we do perform good activities, we may be elevated to the higher planets, and if not, we will degrade ourselves. And then thus, however, these people in general, they do not know their real destination, where it is. So real destination is going to the supreme abode of Lord Krishna. That is being unknown to common people. And so Lord thought to reveal his eternal world to every one of these Vrajavasis. And then he took everyone into the ocean, and there he submerged in the water and then Nanda Maharaj and coward men, they actually felt very happiness by seeing the transcendental abode of Lord within the water. They could see everything over there, and which is actually beyond the reach of all material nature. And they were especially amazed to see Krishna himself there, and he was being surrounded by so many personified, and all are offering prayers to Krishna. So one Krishna is with him, and they could see Krishna there as well, and that is being, everyone is being offering their prayers and obeisances to Krishna. We know about, it's going to come again as well, Akrura, when he wanted to take Krishna and Balram back to Mathura to fight with Kṛṣṇa, or by the invitation of Kṛṣṇa. And there also Akrura could see the same thing when he went to take a bath in the ocean, in the river. Actually, he could see Krishna inside, and he got bewildered, and he came out of the water and he could see, oh, Krishna is sitting here as well. And then by the Yog Maya potency, Krishna revealed everything to him. So Prabhupada, in the translation, in this chapter, it being said, therefore it is recommended that one should take to the process of bhakti yoga and keep himself engaged 24 hours a day in Krishna consciousness, which places one beyond the reach of this modes of material nature. So by using our time in Krishna consciousness, we can actually go beyond this material nature, which is transcendental. And one who is in Krishna consciousness can easily understand the nature of spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha Loka and the inhabitants of Vrindavana. Being always engaged in Krishna consciousness could therefore very easily understand the transcendental nature of the Vaikuntha Loka. So they could actually see everything as Krishna wanted to show them. And then after that, they came out from the river again. Everything is all good. So this is the chapter 28. And then we enter chapter 29. However, before entering chapter 29, which is very, very crucial, I wanted to, put some here before entering into this contemplative pastimes. I think maybe tomorrow we'll enter this chapter 29, but before that, let's see what it is. So these 5 chapters from 29 to 33 are the kind of essence of everything. So these are called as the Rasa Panchabdhyaya, or which is basically the Ras Leela of Lord Krishna, are described in these 5 chapters, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So these are the real essence of the love of Lord. However, generally people tend to understand this in a different way, and they try to say is as mundane. They have to relate it as we see the mundane love affairs in this world, but that's not the thing. So before entering to this pastimes, because I am neither realized, not at all qualified to discuss this pastime, so before entering this, I'll just note down some points so that we can actually try to get something from these pastimes. Anyway, I won't be going into detail of this whole 5 chapters, but we'll try to see what the things are. And also we have discussed a bit more on these 5 rasas. Today we'll try to understand this a bit more elaborately before entering to this Ras Leela. So Prabhupada, he used to mention that, in generally people, they used to directly enter into the pastime of Lord, this pastime especially, this Rasa Leela, and then they try to imitate, saying, okay, if Krishna has done, so what's wrong in that? But people think that in a mundane way, but Krishna's, what this Rasa Leela is completely transcendental, completely divine. There is no trace, even single trace of lusty affairs in this. That's the first thing we need to understand before entering these pastimes. And that's why Prabhupada says, when we study this Bhagavatam from Canto 1, chapter 1, sloka 1, and when we go gradually to Canto 10, when we enter to this Krishna book, or Canto 10, or in Canto 10, these 5 chapters, by the time we have complete understanding that who Krishna is and what his activities are, so people can, or devotees, they can relish this pastime. Right, and that is why Prabhupada mentioned that we should read Srimad Bhagavatam from starting rather than just directly entering it into the pastimes of Rasa Leela. Even the point is, in general, people, they do not hear about the pastimes like Putana, killing of Putana, or killing of all the demons, because killing of each demons is connected to one of the anarthas within us. So that we will also discuss one day. We'll take all the pastimes of Krishna and the anarthas which related to us, and by hearing those anarthas goes away from our heart as well. So normally people do not read these pastimes, don't hear these pastimes like killing of Putana or killing of other demons, and directly they enter to the pastimes of Rasa Leela. Prabhupada mentions a thing that if you want to imitate this pastimes of Raslila, before that, let's try to imitate the pastimes of Govardhan, lifting of Govardhan Hill. Who in this world can claim to himself that okay, he can lift a mount? Forget about mountain. We can't. Even if we see the weightlifters, when they used to lift the weight, they could hold for some seconds and then put down, and then the one who could hold for longer seconds, he's going to be winner. So they calculate in a seconds way and just weight maybe some 80-90 pound or 100 pound, isn't it? But Govardhan Hill, just imagine of a hill that Krishna could do it very easily, smilingly, for 7 days, 7 nights, for the pleasure of the devotees, right? That's why that's very, very important to understand the position of Krishna and his activities. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita very easily that Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Krishna's appearance or his birth and his pastimes, activities are transcendental. Divya, they are transcendental. So anyone who could understand these pastimes nicely as it is, he is eligible to go to the back to Godhead, right? So after that, let's go a bit more on that. So without understanding the absolute position of Krishna, it's not wise to enter in the pastimes of this confidence, the pastimes of Rasa Leela, right? So we should try to. That's why Bhagavad Gita also says, "Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya." So that's why this science of God or science of absolute truth has to be understood by surrendering to a spiritual master. Tad vidhi pranipatena, and by serving his lotus feet to the Guru, because who has seen the truth. That's why he could explain this to us very nicely. So that's a very, very important for us to take shelter of spiritual master who can bestow his mercy. We sing a song, Shakshudana Dilaji Janma Janma Prabhu Shi. So he gives the divine eyes through shastras by which actually we can understand and see Krishna. So that's how importance of spiritual masters comes in this place in the path of spirituality. So before entering to this pastimes of Rasa Leela, let's see, there are 12 mellows. Mellows means rasas, or rasas is basically kind of, the one which we enjoy with in our relationships. So a person's enjoy a different kind of relationship with his wife, with his children, with his parents, with the friends, with the colleague, and everything. So there are different stages. So there are 12. However, 5 are primary and the 7 are called as secondary. So we'll discuss a bit in a more detail today about these 5 rasas. So the first one is called as Santa Rasa or neutral. And in that stage, someone is actually liberated from the metal contaminations. However, he appreciates Lord as his greatness. He says he sees Krishna as great. He sees Lord as great. However, in this stage, it doesn't exactly they engage in devotional service, or we can say in transcendental loving service of Lord. It might not be they engaged in that. That's a first rasas. Maybe sometimes devotee explain that flower being offered to Lord, that flower also has mellows with Lord, but that's kind of neutral. Or sometimes Bhagavatam says about these Nava Yogendras, they are in connection to Lord in a Santa Rasa, right? These are transcendental. However, on the bottom, so up step to that, our second stage is called as Dasya Rasa is a servant. So now in this stage, one elevates to the next stage called a Dasya or a servant. There, a person or a devotee, he appreciates his position as being everlasting subordinate to Lord Krishna, to Supreme Lord. There he understands that we are the servant of Lord, right? And then he understands that he is eternally dependent on the causeless mercy of Supreme Lord. So earlier they has in this previous rasa, Santa Rasa, they just sees the greatness of Lord, but in Dasya Rasa they take another step where they think that, yes, I am dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Supreme Lord, and they try to serve him. And at that time, there is a kind of natural affection towards the Lord is awakened in our heart. And similarly, slowly, gradually, we try to understand Lord, and we take shelter. Like, let's suppose, for example, Hanuman, he comes in a Dasya Rasa. So he is always eager to serve Lord, right? And in this stage, our second stage, the living entity, they always wants eagerly to serve Supreme Lord instead of serving Maya or illusion. We know we have two potencies we have discussed. This one is either his serve Krishna, eternal potency, or serve his external potency, that is a Maya. Either you serve Maya or you have serve Krishna. You have to, we as a living entity, we have to serve someone. We have to serve at every stage. We have to serve. So it's our choice. We want to serve Maya or we want to serve Krishna or Yoga Maya. Right. So in the third stage, that is called as Sakhya Rasa. Sakhya Rasa here is basically they become Sakhya means friend. So the higher level of Dasya is Sakhya, and in that stage, a devotee, they associate with Supreme Lord as a friend, as if they are on an equal level. However, with love and respect. Even in this also there are two categories we can also differentiate. Like, let's suppose, for example, Sugriva. Sugriva also, as Krishna has killed Bali, and he made a friendship with Sugriva. Still, Sugriva was respecting him as if he is Supreme Lord. Right. Again, as Arjun also. So Arjun also has a friendship relationship with Lord Krishna. Right. However, if you see the friends in Brajavasis or the other friends which we are discussing about the pastimes in the coward boys, they do not think Krishna as a god. They think themselves as our friend, and they used to climb on Lord's body. They used to kick. They used to play. They used to eat his remnants and other things. These are different kinds of Sakhya. It's a friendship in two levels. So even Arjuna is also Krishna's friend, but that's in a different level. Sugriva was a friend of Lord Rama, but in a different level. But the friends of Krishna in the pastimes of coward boys, they are on different platform. We have seen by the pastimes how Krishna was dealing with them. Lord Brahma got bewildered, isn't it? And they wanted to test, is it a Supreme Lord who is actually taking food from their mouth and eating it? So that's a different level of Sakhya Rasa. But again, these both level, they treat Lord as friend, as of the equal level with love and respect. They exchange their relations with some maybe some laugh and other things I know. However, at the same time, there is a great respect for the Supreme Person Krishna. And from this fourth level, so we discussed about Santarasha, and on above that goes is Dasharaka. Dasharasha is with friendship. Sorry, friendship. Dasha is a servant. And then third, we discussed is Sakhya Rasa. Sakhya is as his friend, as a friend, Lord as a friend. And then on top of that, fourth one goes as called as Vatshalya Rasa. Vatshalya Rasa is where this affection of friendly relationship of fraternal relationship that goes towards into paternal affection. So someone, the living entity, they come or act as a parent of God, and then they release the pastimes of Lord. And in this, it is more higher. Why it is higher? Because in this stage, Lord depends upon the mercy of his pure devotee and puts himself under the control of this devotee. Let's say, Mother Yashoda. So Mother Yashoda, though Krishna was Supreme Lord, still Mother Yashoda could bind him. Right? Mother Yashoda could chastise him with his sticks. So Mother Yashoda is actually somehow or other controlling Krishna. So that is the way of Vatsalya Rasa. They are enjoying the mellow. Krishna wanted to enjoy this mellow as well. It's a very nice, description of why Krishna wanted to enjoy this. So we'll discuss that if we have time. We'll take on this point as well. But from Shakya, the Vatsalya or the parental love towards Krishna, that is more higher. See, everything is actually love, but there is some here and there differences in that, and that's how the stages goes higher and higher and higher. And the fifth, and also this Vatsalya Rasa is also very rarely seen, and there this being the parent, they wanted to raise Lord very nicely, and how they also can embrace the Supreme Lord, and even it's basically kind of as if a person is loving to his children. That's a parental love, which is being enjoyed nicely by this Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. So you remember a verse from Brahma Stuti. Brahma told that, glorified, saying that "Oh Bhagyam, Gopananda Brajokasham, Yen Mityan Paramananda." So Lord Krishna, who is Supreme Brahma, Supreme Lord, he has become the friend of these coward boys, and he has become the son of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, right? So in this way, he is actually releasing, he's enjoying the pastimes with all everyone in these brajas. And the fifth stage, so first is Shanta, then Dashya, then Shakya, then Vatsalya, and now the fifth one, who is the topmost of all rasas, is called as Madhurya Rasa. And that Madhurya Rasa, which is a transcendental exchange of conjugal love between the lover and the beloved. And this Madhurya Rasa is the love of the gopis. And at this stage, that Krishna and that damsels of Braja, they have a loving affair with each other, but that's completely on transcendental platform. It's not at all a trace of mundane affairs. That's completely on transcendental platform. So going from Vatsalya to Madhurya Rasa, even in Madhurya Rasa there are two ways. Krishna and Madhurya Rasa with a tinge of Aishwarya Rabhav, that is happened in Dwarika. So all this wife of Lord Krishna. However, in the pastimes of Vrindavana, that is with the gopis, that's called as paramar love, or Parakya Rasa, Parakya Bhav. So there also Krishna enjoyed. In fact, actually, Krishna gave pleasure to the gopis, because gopis have desire. They have worshipped Katyani Devi. We discussed earlier. They have worshipped Katyani Devi for the whole month, and they offered all their obeisances, all their for the sacrifice, and they wished that Krishna could become their husband. So that's also, Krishna is so much in depth with these gopis. He's actually kind of fulfilling the desire of his devotee, right? And besides from these five, there are other sevens, which maybe which are touched with these five others, like laughing, wonder, chivalry, pity, anger, ghastliness, and devastations. These are others pastimes. Like, let's suppose anger. In anger, Krishna fought with this Hiranyakashipu, or chivalry with his Hiranyakashipu kind of things, and these are the other rasas over there. So however, these are the five most potent rasas that actually we also see in this material world, because this material world is a reflection of spiritual world. That's why we see these rasas here. But the rasas which are connected to Krishna are transcendental. So we also love our children. That also we can say as, okay, it's in a Vatsalya, but that is not transcendental. It's on our physical exchange, right? So these rasas, when they come in contact with Krishna, that becomes transcendental, right? So that's how these gopis, they are they are being pleased by this Lord Krishna, because Krishna wanted to fulfill their desire, and hence they entered to these pastimes of Rasa Leela, where Krishna fulfilled their desire of dancing with them, and in a kind of epitome of love. And in that Madhurya Rasa, the topmost kind of rasa being released by Srimati Radharani. So all the gopis, they enter in the Madhurya Rasa, but into that the topmost one is Radharani, and no one can ever release the kind of the mellows which is being released by Srimati Radharani. And that is how to understand that love, to understand that feeling, how much Radharani experienced the love for Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has arrived in this Kali Yuga, and which actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says very easily that by chanting the holy name, actually we can elevate towards that. We can actually release that pastime in a bit as well, right? So that's how these are the 5 rasas. And now we'll discuss something where we will see that why these rasa dance or rasa pancha adhyaya are very confidential, and these are not mundane. However, I will repeat again, I do not have any qualification, neither any realization to discuss these pastimes, but as it has gone through our discussion of topic of discussion, we'll go on this a bit as well. So these pastimes are completely spiritual, they are completely divine. There is not a single trace of material lust in this all affairs. I'm repeating it again and again so that it comes to our mind as well that these are all transcendental, right? And people, as Prabhupada says, when we enter to these rasas without proper knowledge or understanding, then we try to kind of deviate the things, and we try to speculate with our own material senses. But as we discussed earlier, by our own mental speculations, we cannot understand Krishna. So to understand Krishna's and his pastimes, we have to take shelter of spiritual master who can actually guide us properly to understand these rasas. So let's see why this is not mundane. First point is, I have taken the notes from the lecture of the devotees. So the first point is essence of bhakti. So the essence of bhakti is to always remain in the thoughts of Sri Krishna. There is a very nice verse comes. I think it is Vishnu Purana, I guess, Padma Purana. So there it says, Smritabhya sadatam Vishnur Vishmartabhya na Jatushit. Means always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So sadatam Vishnu. So Smritabhya sadatam Vishnu. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That is the essence of bhakti. So and others, it says Sarve Vidhi Nishedhashur Etare Eka Kinkara. So all others rules and regulations or provisions are mentioned, which are mentioned in Shastras, that are servant to these 2 principles. What are the 2 principles? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And so whatever we do, let's for yogis, they meditate on Paramatma, and to meditate on Paramatma, they do a lot of things: sitting straight, keeping posture very nicely, controlling their senses, controlling the breathing, keeping their eyes closed, sitting in a secluded place. These are the rules and regulations. But essence is what? Essence is that they are meditating on Lord Krishna as Paramatma within their heart. So in a similar way, the essence of bhakti is to remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, and all the rules and regulations, they are just to follow these 2 paths, these 2 understanding, that never forget Krishna and always remember Krishna, right? And that's why Srila Prabhupada says in Kṛṣṇa book, chapter 23, in the last para, he says, the exemplary character of devotional service mentioned by the devotees of Vrindavana is the purest type of devotion. It is enjoyed in authoritative shastras that devotional service must be ahituki apratihata. This means that devotional service to Krishna cannot be checked by political or religious convention. The stage of devotional service is always transcendental. The gopis particularly showed pure devotional service toward Krishna, so much so that Krishna himself remained in debt to them. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus said that the devotional service manifested by the gopis in Vrindavana excelled all other methods of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the topmost kind of way or topmost positions of devotional service. Right? In Nanda Bhakti, the last one is called as prema. So we do all other process, sadhu sangha, shraddha, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. This all goes to prema. So that is the topmost one. These are the processes we purify ourselves towards getting that point, right? So that's how is very, very important that these gopis pastimes to take in a way by which actually it cleanses our heart. Even you will see Sukadeva Goswami says that by hearing this or understanding these pastimes, the lusty desire in our heart, that also goes away. So how can this be a lusty desire? How can this be a mundane act, right? So let's see a couple of more points to understand this pastime very nicely. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, read it, that worshipping of Lord topmost, and topmost dham is Vrindavan, and even in Vrindavan the topmost devotees are the gopis, and from all the gopis the topmost one is Srimati Radharani. So that is the essence. So that's why to follow the footsteps rather than imitating them, to follow the footsteps of these great acharyas, we can actually reach there rather than by imitating, right? And Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost Purana. We discussed about the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called as a Mahapurana, and this Mahapurana glorifies these gopis, right? And anyway, our aim of life is actually to get the prema or love of Lord, which gopis had manifested it at their topmost, which is basically the purest Krishna consciousness, right? And because the soul, the nature of soul is what? Jivara Swarupa hai Krishna Nitya Das. The soul is naturally inclined to become a servant of Krishna. And now this gopis has actually manifested this nature at topmost, right? So why this Rasa Leela is not mundane? Devotees explain that first of all, Krishna's age was just 8 years. So Krishna has lifted Govardhan hill in 7 years. In next Sharat Rishu, an autumn when came, Krishna has done this Rasa Leela pastime. So Krishna was just 8 years, and in 8 years the lusty desires cannot be manifested in that way, right? And that is being said, Krishna is clearly says that Krishna is a Bhagavan. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mata Paratram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjay. Yes, Sanjay, there is nothing, Dhananjay is Arjuna, there is nothing beyond me. Mata Paratram Nanyat. So nothing is beyond me. So Krishna is Bhagavan. And Brahmaji, in Brahma Stuti, everywhere, Brahma Samhita, every line it says, Govindam Adi Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So every line says that, O Govinda, I pay obeisance to you, right? And then Krishna is Bhagavan, and another definition of Bhagavan is where it says Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Virasya Shriya Jnanam Vairagyam Sheva Sannam Bhaga Itingana. So these are the 6 opulences, and Krishna's have these opulences incomplete, like the riches, the wealth, strength, beauty, education, and knowledge, renunciation. Krishna has everything in complete full. Nothing is anywhere here and there. Everything is incomplete. Education complete, renunciation complete, knowledge complete, beauty complete. Right? That's why Krishna is called as Bhagavan. So if Krishna is a Bhagavan, how can his act be immoral? So that's why his act cannot be immortal, cannot be immoral. And explainers of this comes like sun. So there is a place in the road we see some stools or urines are being there, and in other way we can see some clean water are there. When sun evaporates, these two, urine and pure water, it evaporates all both. It goes to there, but it never contaminated the sun. Sun still remain pure. In the similar way, the fire, whatever you pour in the fire always remain pure. If these devatas who are actually in control of Krishna, they are not contaminated by these things, then how can Krishna be contaminated with the lusty desires? And Krishna is always self-satisfied. So that's this act can never be immoral, right? And then these gopis are actually Krishna's these are the expansion of Krishna's pleasure potency. So it's basically expansion of my own self, Krishna's own self. And it's basically like a child playing with himself in a mirror. So a child is playing himself in a mirror. That's like the same. Krishna has expanded in the form of gopis, and now they are playing with each other. There is no trace of that's how the peace. Krishna says eternal potency,
Prabhu,
external potency.
there's some connection issue or something, I guess. Not able to hear.
Okay, so okay, let me repeat it again then. I know there's some going on in my internet. Thank you for bringing it back. So what I was saying is Krishna is completely, he is Bhagavan, he has all six opulences in complete, right? And then these gopis, these are Krishna's expansions or Krishna's pleasure potency expansions. So Krishna has three potencies: internal potency, external potency, and marginal potency. So Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, Tata Shakti. So Tata Shakti is what? We living entity. And Bahiranga Shakti is Maya. And Antaranga Shakti is his pleasure potency. And in this spiritual energy, the most confidential part of this energy is called as pleasure potency. And these gopis are expansion of those. And they have actually, there are different categories of gopis. We'll see it maybe tomorrow, and how these gopis have came in the service of Lord for these pastimes. So Krishna, and after that we discussed about Krishna, as these are the expansion of Krishna himself. So Krishna is playing as if like child is playing in a mirror. So there is no harm, there is no kind of lust and things when someone plays in his mirror. And these gopis have spiritual bodies as of Krishna's, because they are Krishna's pleasure potency expansion. And then this whole yoga, whole Rasa dance was actually orchestrated by Yoga Maya, not by Mahamaya, not by Durga Devi. So Mahamaya is basically Durga Devi, who takes care, but this is Yoga Maya. We discussed earlier how this Yoga Maya also took Lord Balrama from mother, Devaki to mother Rohini he transferred it. So that is the Yoga Maya potency, internal potency of Lord, which actually orchestrating everything over there. And what we speak of that, exalted devotee Vaishnava Mehta Shambhu, Lord Shiva, he wanted to enter this pastime as well in the Rasa dance. And when he wanted to enter this pastime, he was being checked by Yoga Maya, say, no male allowed except Krishna. No one can go over there. And then the Lord Shiva says, okay, what shall I do now? I want to go there. What shall I do? He said, okay, you go and talk to Vrinda Devi. And Lord Shiva went to Vrinda Devi and then Vrinda Devi, okay, he says, okay, there's a river now. You go and take bath from there and come out. And when Lord Shiva went there, he came out in a form of Gopi. That's called as Gopeshwar Mahadev. And still we have a temple over there in Vrindavan and near Yamuna, the Gopeshwar Mahadev. And Lord Shiva entered these pastimes of Rasa Leela as if he's a gopi. Just imagine. Even it's been described that Narada Muni, he wanted to enter as well, and he became Naradiya Gopi. So if Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, they are entering this Rasa, how can this act be mundane? It's only we who doesn't have this knowledge of understanding who Krishna is. That's why we think this as mundane, right? And after that, sorry for a bit more time today. I will take some 5 minutes kind of. And Krishna is within our heart as super soul. And yogis, they meditate on to see Krishna as super soul. So when the yogis, they meditate to see Krishna as super soul, what's wrong when gopi are associating with Lord face to face? Because within us, Atma and Paramatma is there. Our Atma, a female body as Atma, and that Atma is actually playing with Paramatma or associating with Paramatma. There is nothing wrong. It's in the heart. Yogis meditate to get this pleasure, and the same, these gopis are associating with Krishna directly, face to face, because it's mercy of Krishna and they are there, right? And hence it cannot be immoral. And Krishna is completely self-sufficient. He's Atmaram. He is self-satisfied. He's always fully satisfied. It says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagata Pasam Sarvalokam Aishwaram. I am the one who gets all the pleasure, and I am the one who is Bhoktaram. So there is no harm if Krishna is supreme creator, he's supreme proprietor of everything, and he is engaged in giving pleasure to his devotees. And what we speak of Krishna, we have spoken about Lord Shiva entered, we have spoken about Narada Muni entered, we have spoken about an example of sun and fire, the devatas. Just see the examples of devotees. So even Krishna's devotees are not lusty. What we speak of Krishna himself. So let's take the example, exalted example, Arjuna. So when Arjuna, he went to Indraloka, isn't it, to get some weapons over there. And then Urvashi, by seeing Arjuna, she wanted to associate with Arjuna. And Arjuna said, no, you're my mother. And then Urvashi said, it doesn't apply here. He says, no, I am from mortal world, I am from earth, so it applies to us. So you are my mother. And that's how she cursed that you will become Naksh for a year, right? So that's how the Arjuna, who was a devotee of Krishna, he has not left desire. And Arjuna, let's go in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur. Sri Haridas Thakur, he's called as Namacharya. And there was a king at the time, a Muslim king ruling, called as Ramchandra Khan. And everyone, actually, they are attracted towards Haridas Thakur. And this Ramchandra Khan, they got complaint from his, his ministers and others. So they made a plan to somehow to send a prostitute towards Haridas Thakur. And once these prostitutes get engaged with Haridas Thakur, we will expose this to all public and saying that, okay, see what this person is doing. And you know what? This prostitute was being so trained, and she said, okay, no problem, I can do it. And she went there. Haridas Thakur, who used to engage himself every day by chanting 122 rounds, 3 lakhs of rounds, 3 lakhs of holy name every day. Haridas Thakur said, okay, I'll fulfill your desire, no worries, but let me finish my chanting now. And this Chintamani, was her name, Chintamani, she was sitting there. She came in the night. Haridas Thakur was chanting the whole night before Tulsi Devi, and she was just waiting outside, and she was hearing the holy name. First day, she could not fulfill her desire. Second day, third day. In third day, she became kind of disciple of Haridas Thakur. That's the potency of holy name. So if Krishna's devotees are not lusty, how can Krishna become lusty, right? So that is how these pastimes of Lord Krishna's kind of Rasa Leela is very, very confidential, very, very kind of very in depth. So we need to take care of this as well before reading, before understanding, or before explaining to everyone or anyone. And couple of more 2 points. This great Paramahansas like Sukdev Goswami, they are releasing these pastimes. Just imagine, Sukdev Goswami, they are releasing the pastimes of this Rasa dance. How can these be mundane? These are all on the topmost kind of greatest of all Paramahamsas. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to release the the love of Radharani here. Shri Radhara Bhave Eve Gaura Avatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shyam Sundar, he took the form of Gaurachandra. Shri Radhara Bhave Eve Gaura Avatar. Hare Krishna Nama Gaura Kaila Prachara. So Krishna has came in the form of Radharani, and he has spread the message of chanting holy name Hare Krishna Nama towards everyone. By that we can actually release a small bit of pleasure or for the love of the Lord, right? So I'm sorry for taking a bit more time today. Thank you everyone for hearing this, and if anyone have any questions or any thoughts or anyone to say, we can actually discuss for a couple of minutes. So I would like to stop here. Okay, no questions mean I think it's all okay. Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak a bit on this topic, and we'll continue from tomorrow. We'll go in a brief in these 5 chapters of Rasa Leela, and we'll pray to Kṛṣṇa that because Sukadeva Goswami says that by hearing these pastimes, the lusty desire in our us goes away, and that's the way to advance in spirituality, to give up the lusty desire. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय
प्रभुपाद की
जय
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
जय
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna Babaji.